Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm a person who will never get 90 minutes back.
And this week, we're coming at you with a creepy, crawly double feature with Antz and A Bug's Life. Before we go absolutely apeshit on Woody Allen, remember you can help us on Mortified, the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, or following us on Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron.
How you feel about bugs?
I have a no trespassing rule with bugs. If you stay in your lane and you stay in a predictable movement pattern, you and I are fine. As soon as a bug begins acting erratically, it is no longer welcome. With ants specifically, I have a history because we did have an ant infestation in one of the apartments I lived in Texas. And one, and I will not disclose how, bit me on the inside of my mouth.
Oh no.
It hurt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suspect it did. Yeah, my history is perhaps not that colorful. I just generally, I am not afraid of insects that are smaller than my thumbnail. But like anything bigger than that or that can fly generally is a no-go for me. Like me and my wife went to a butterfly sanctuary once, and like that whole time I was like, these are actually too big. I don't know why I wanted to come here.
Yeah. There's one of those near me at the Strong Museum of Play, and I've been there, and objectively it's beautiful, but I flinch every single time one of them moves. Yep. There's also a factor, we've talked about size. There's a factor we haven't considered, which is juiciness.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
I don't
crunchability, yeah.
Ooh. That's why I don't like... my mom always makes fun of me because I won't crush a carpenter ant with my hand. It's like it's too crunchy.
Oh, yeah. If it's like a gusher in there, like, I don't think so.
No, thank you.
No. So that said, we had brought this up on our last episode about Shrek. We were, I had brought up the fact that, DreamWorks made Antz, one of its first films following the famous split from Disney, Jeffrey Katzenberg's specifically split from Disney. And, we thought it'd be funny to, watch both Antz and A Bug's Life. Considering we had some scheduling stuff, we figured this was just a kind of a quick idea to slot in. I think we both regret that decision now, frankly.
So we're going to talk about A Bug's Life first because it is a completely fine, it's whatever. It is a movie. Yep. It was fine. There's some cool moments in it. I don't think I think you like it less than I do. I only kind of like it for nostalgia reasons that have nothing to do with the movie and more to do with my memory of the PS1 tie-in game I used to play.
Nice.
And then Antz?
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about Antz.
We should probably say up front, both of these films feature people who have been credibly accused of sexual crimes, Woody Allen and Kevin Spacey. So, if that bums you out, that's completely fine. But we will be talking about them, so keep that in mind. But that's all of this to say is we don't. This is certainly not an endorsement of either of those people. In fact, I think the second half of the episode will be very much not an endorsement.
A fun fact about Kevin Spacey: endorsed Worms for Brains, RFK Jr.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
Man, wow! I can't believe that happened. That's really funny.
The Worms for Brains.
Yeah, that's a really funny thing that happened.
That it was discovered as part of that man's trying to pay less alimony.
Yeah, no, all of that hysterical. Let's talk about our first Worm for Brains. Let's see. Our first... I wouldn't say this is a brainworm video. This is more of a completely fine little critter buzzing around up in the noggin. Completely harmless.
Completely fine.
Yeah. So we got Flick, right? He is an inventor ant. He, all the ants that are on the island that he lives on, they have to basically give protection money to a gang of grasshoppers. who I got the sense that they were like basically like a biker gang, because when they jump up and fly, you get like the kickback motorcycle engine sound, which is fun.
They also Hopper, the main Kevin Spacey grasshopper. When they leave the first time, does say "Let's ride." So yes, I think you're right.
Right, riding specifically. So, yeah. So like they have to pay tribute to them, because that's the grasshoppers' way of life. They are oppressed by the grasshoppers. And Flick is an inventor. He has all sorts of gadgets and tools, and he creates this device that allows him to harvest grain really quickly. But the thing about Flick is that he's kind of a screw up. He's always getting into trouble, and the princess, the queen in training of his colony, this is Princess Ada, is like really worried about this like tribute ceremony, right? It's her first time really overseeing it, and so she's all stressed out. And right when they're about to give all their tribute to the grasshoppers, Flick, his device goes off and drops their big tribute bowl into the river that they put it next to, which is like, is this Flick's fault? Yes. Is it also perhaps maybe bad planning to put their big tribute thing right next to a cliff? You got to give Flick some slack. Like, that's bad planning on everyone's part. Come on.
Yeah, a lot of things went wrong for that to have happened. And you were right in your notes, which is like, Flick's invention is good. It's a harvester. And if they had only believed in him and given him some, I don't know, people to do some quality assurance, maybe some people to help build the thing, they could have all had this done in 2 days.
Yeah, like the Antz, I think their society, listen, I like their royal family generally. I like that their princess is neurotic and their queen is just kind of like an old lady who doesn't give a shit. I like them. They're cool. But yeah, I think they probably could use a little bit more innovation in their economic system. Anyway, that all goes bad. The grasshoppers show up, and we get our introduction to Hopper, who's like this big scary grasshopper. And they go and they terrorize the ants, and they're like, you know what, y'all suck. Y'all are puny. We are better than you. You better give us double the tribute by the time fall comes around, or otherwise we will come back and we'll really beat you up. And Flick, he stands up to Hopper briefly, and Hopper remembers him because of that. But then they buzz off. And everybody's like, oh, what are we gonna do? And Flick is like, hey, I have this idea. Well, this is also at his like trial, because he's being tried for fucking this up so bad. And like the council of ant elders is like, okay, we're gonna sentence you to something, but we don't know what to sentence you to, because everything that you get sentenced to, all the hard labor you get sentenced to, you fuck up. And he's like, what if I just go and recruit some mercenaries? Which is an interesting strategy, but they're all like actually pretty chill about it, because like he won't be here to screw things up. And then they kind of approve that, and Flick is sent on his quest. While he's leaving for his quest, he actually interacts with the youngest daughter of the queen, not Princess Ada, but Princess Dot, who is played by none other than Hayden Panettiere, our friend of the pod, Kyrie, who shout outs. I hope she's doing well. But yeah, I mean, any other notes on the first part of the film?
No, I liked. I have notes, but they're all in contrast to Antz, so we'll talk about it when we talk about Antz. But it's a perfectly nice. Flick is charming. We love Dot. She's very cute. We love that Ada has anxiety. The queen is nice and chill. So far, so good. I loved Flick's little pack that he takes. He has like a rolled up leaf. He makes a little hat. It's cute.
Yes, it's very cute. He looks like a little ant hitchhiker. They go, and he goes to like a circus. I think the circus scene is like way too long. But basically it introduces us to all of the circus bugs. So there's first, we get introduced to Rosie and Dim. Rosie's like a Black Widow, and Dim is like a Hercules beetle. And she like, their act is that she's like a trainer for him, and he's supposed to be big and scary, but he's actually a big baby. There is Tuck and Roll, who are like like acrobats. Basically, they're little pill bugs that get shot out of a cannon. There's Heimlich, who is an inexplicably German caterpillar, and he is a clown, along with Slim, who is a stick bug. Francis, who is a ladybug, but he's a guy. A little bit of transphobia in here. I don't love all the stuff that's going on with Francis, but it's not overtly transphobic, so it's like, okay, sure. This movie came out in 98, I want to say.
Antz was 98. I think this was
they both came out in 98.
Was it both? Oh.
Yes, we'll talk about it, but yes, that Antz came out before this is actually a tactical move on DreamWorks' part. Yeah, so it's not great, but talking about all those guys, their bit is that they're clowns and they like make fun of each other and do stunts. There is Manny, the praying mantis, and who I'm gonna call Spongy because they renamed this moth the sponge moth, but its original name was a slur for Romani people, but they changed that. It's now called the spongy moth, so I'm just going to refer to her as Spongy because ideally, in a good world, that's what they would rename her to. But like, they do like a Oriental act, basically. Like, Manny puts on a turban. And he's like, I'm going to put somebody in this box of Chinese takeout and transform them into my wife, Spongy. And it's going to be very beautiful. Again, it was the 90s. You could get away with the Orientalist shit like that, I guess. I'm not thrilled about it, frankly. But, what are you going to do? That's how things were, unfortunately. But yeah, we see all of these bugs, and I mean, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts or feelings about them?
When you started describing them, I figured out what. How do I put this? So Pixar, Elemental, for example, is a tech demo. If you go see Pixar's Elemental, it is a completely fine story. What they are trying to do is show you cool tech. And a lot of people who maybe aren't discerning about that kind of thing might not notice it, but I notice it because I'm familiar roughly with how that works. And I was sitting here, and while you were talking, I was like, there has to be some sort of tech element that Pixar was trying to flex over DreamWorks. And like the entire time I was watching A Bug's Life, I couldn't really put my finger on it. There was some effect stuff like the fire, there was some effect stuff like the bioluminescence, the iridescence on the ants maybe, but it just hit me, it's probably all the different bug rigs.
Yeah, because in Antz there's basically like 2 or 3 bugs in the entire film.
There's the baby ants, the ants, and the termites. And here
I guess there's the soldier ants, but like that's kind of a slight variation.
But it's the same like humanoid,
right?
With a thorax kind of thing.
Right.
Here we have spider, praying mantis. I think the little pill bugs are super impressive because they roll up.
Yeah. Yes, that's very good.
So as you're describing it, it just hit me that that's probably one of the things they were like really trying to flex, more so than the story.
Yes, no, I think that's a great read, and I'm glad that you caught that because that makes a lot more sense for why they had some of these like circus sequences, which like weren't that entertaining, but I think it would have been impressive in 1998 CGI terms.
Yeah, and it gave a reason for the movie to be in CGI because I think one of the first things I wrote down about Antz was like, why is this in 3D? I don't understand.
Right. No, that makes sense. So. The reason that Flick goes and recruits these circus people is because they get in this bar fight essentially. And what he says is that he's been like scouting for warriors of your talents, and they hear that he's a talent scout after they like allegedly beat up a bunch of people in a bar.
Which
while
they
they're
didn't.
Doing a
they
bit.
Caused an accident, and then Flick walked in on them. Flick conveniently didn't see them running away from the bar fight, but he did see them having successfully avoided being rolled unconscious.
Right. So like we talked about this with Shrek last week, but like not the best miscommunication, but like at least this is not like a crux of the story, this communication.
Yeah, it gets solved at the end of Act 1. So
right. Yeah, basically, he recruits them, he takes them back to the colony. All the colony ants are like really impressed, and they host this big dinner for the warrior bugs, and the circus bugs realize that this is not what they signed up for when they're like Girl Scouts give them a mural. The mural might be the best part of the movie, because it just shows all the bugs fighting the grasshoppers in like a gory detail. Like Heimlich is fully cut in half and bleeding everywhere. It's pretty good.
It's one of those so I haven't seen this movie. I am not sure I've ever seen it in English. You know what I mean? Like it's been a really long time, and there are a couple of moments that I remembered very, very clearly when I saw them, and the mural was definitely one of them where I was like, right, yes, this I remember.
Yeah, no, because that's a great bit. And then they're all like, hey, actually, Flick, what the fuck? I thought you wanted us to be entertainers. And he's like, I thought you all were going to be fighters. And so they're like, okay, well, that's a big fuck up. But they resolve that by saying, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to actually make a fake bird. And they basically convince everybody in the colony to create this like bird made out of like leaves and sticks and shit. And because Hopper was wounded by a bird once, and during their initial like raid, his idiot brother Molt lets loose that he's afraid of birds.
God bless Molt.
Yeah, very good. You gotta have
just a great character. He's so dumb.
Yeah, no, he sucks and he's an idiot, and I love him. He's great. While all of this like construction is going on, we actually get a great Molt and Hopper scene, because like the biker gang is like at a bar somewhere and they have all the food they could want. And one of the grasshoppers is like, why would we leave? Why would we even like take the risk to go out and get those ants? We could just like chill here. And then Molt repeats that to Hopper, passes it off as his own idea. And Hopper's like, you're a fucking moron. I'm going to kill you. And then Molt's like, actually, no, it was this other guy's idea. And we get one of the best scenes in like Pixar, frankly. Like, Pixar's got a long history and they made out some pretty good movies, but like this sequence is actually really, really impressive. Just like, fuck Kevin Spacey, but like this is a good performance.
Yeah, it has no reason to be that good, because it's like the question then arises like, okay, they have more than enough food, they're living comfortably, and everyone's like, why would we go back? It's gonna rain, we're gonna get fucked up anyway. Like, I don't want to get fucked up by the rain. Why don't we just chill here for a year? And then Hopper starts taking grain by grain out of the bottle to go and throwing it at the grasshoppers, going, this is one ant. Does that hurt? And they're like, no. And then he opens the whole fucking bottle on them and then gets on top and gives this, his speech about like, it's not about the food, it's about the power.
Right.
It is so intense and it's so good. And it's like, the rest of the movie is relatively lighthearted.
Right.
I was like, damn, that's a villain.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. It's such a good sequence to be like, I'm going to like make my ideological statement here. Like the reason why I'm doing this, my whole motivation is because I know that, we are outnumbered by them. And the only way we can keep them in line is through terror and regular terror, right? Not just like waiting them out for a year, but like keeping them in line and punishing them. And like, that's really good. You got to give it up. We'll talk about what Antz is trying to do ideologically, but this sequence, is 100 jillion times more effective than anything in Antz for trying to get a collectivist statement out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, they decide to take off and they go to attack the colony. And right as they're like the grasshoppers are going to attack the colony, they're like having like a last night dinner, because the acrobats are the circus bugs are planning to leave before the grasshoppers get there, and like they're just going to use the bird to defeat them. But then their old boss, who is a flea, shows up, and he's like, "Actually, I need to recruit you back because our last act, although it seemed go ahead.
PT Flea.
Yes, PT Flea.
Gotta get that PT Barnum reference in anytime there's a circus.
Yes, I don't. It's a completely nothing name except for PT, but sure, whatever. But yeah, he was like, yeah, you know how you guys set me on fire. What if we did that for money? Because people loved that. All of the flies at the circus loved that. And, you know, when he reveals that they're all circus performers, the colony gets really mad. You know, Ada and the queen turn on Flick, and they're like, you lied to us and you betrayed us by recruiting these acrobats, essentially, to fight. So Flick is very sad. You know, it seemed like they were all getting along. Like there's like a long sequence of like Francis learning to like, you know, be friends with the Blueberry Scouts, and you know, so it seems like they're all about to get like integrated and you know, find a new home or whatever. But then like this is the lowest point moment. They are all kicked out. You know, they're all sadly moving back. And then that's when the grasshoppers attack again. The grasshoppers, you know, Hopper lets slip that he is going to try to kill the queen after they gather all of their tribute as like a statement. Dot hears this and goes back to, you know, tell Flick. She's like, hey Flick, you know, they're gonna kill my mom. Please.
That wasn't Hopper. That was fucking that was Molt's dumbass.
Oh, it is Molt. Yeah, Molt says this out loud. He like gives away the entire plan while Dot is hiding in a treehouse. Yeah, so they decide like, okay, we're gonna come back. They activate the bird. The bird kind of works until PT sets it on fire. Mm-hmm. I really like the bird attack sequence because it again leans into the like, you know, I feel like certainly me, but like also other people are like, oh, I can't believe this isn't a kid's movie. And there's some stuff like in Antz that I actually genuinely can't believe was in a kid's movie. But like here, like where they have the simulated bird attack, all of the acrobats are like putting like berries, like smearing berries all over themselves to make it look like a gore, which is really like one grim, but also like very funny. And like, you know, it's a thing that like you wouldn't necessarily think would be in a kid's movie, but like kids movies, I feel like in the last 20 or so years, we have really put the kid gloves on for children's media. And I do kind of wish we were more willing to let kids like see, you know, not like horrible violence and gore and swearing, but like kind of letting them, you know, see stuff like this where it's like, okay, they're pretending to be hurt, but like it is also...
And it works because the ants are all in on it, right? They're not like, it's very clearly a performance where like Slim is the first one to do it, and he's always wanted to be a serious actor, right? So it works for his character to take the berry and put it in his eye, and they go, my eye, really dramatically. But then when you see the ants doing it, when you see the ants copying him, they're not like suffering on the ground. They will run up to the grasshoppers and go, ah, with the blood all over them. So they all seem like they're in on it and they're having fun. In contrast to when we talk about ants, there's a devastating massacre with ants that is not dealt with or handled in any way. So it's fun. I thought it was cool. I also really like the bird sequence. It's again one of those things I remember really, really clearly. I like that the little girls, the Blueberry Scouts, are the ones that like pilot the thing.
Yeah.
It's fun. It lets the kid protagonists feel like they have like a hero's role, right? Like, because one of the things I think we talk a lot about with shonen is the protagonists are always like stupid young for what they're doing. And here it's like, you want the kids to feel like they're part of it because the kids are the ones watching. You don't want to make a kids movie where the kids are the ones that have to be like protected and hiding in a hole the whole time. So it's like a really good way to get them involved. And it's just cool. It's a cool sequence. I like the bird a lot. And then it crashes. And, you know, Hopper beats the shit out of Flick.
Yeah, like, again, like, not shying away from the violence. Like they do some cuts away where the violence is implied, but like we do see him like, you know, kick Flick over and there's like bruises on his like little blue ant body, like his whole eye is all swollen up. Like, you know, like they're not shying away from the fact that these people are using violence to oppress the ants, and like it's pretty good. They also have, we didn't mention this, but there is another grasshopper named Thumper who is just, you know, he's not
deal.
because he's a grasshopper, but he's also like an attack dog, which is really weird. They have to keep him on a chain, which is fucked up. But
did you watch the bloopers?
No, but I saw your comment about it. Can you talk more about it?
So there's a blooper. Pixar loves to do bloopers, and I love them. I think you should dedicate a little bit of budget just to do bloopers. It's silly. So there's a blooper with Thumper where he's roaring in Dot's face, and then the quote unquote actor that plays Thumper stands up and goes, "No, that's not right. That wasn't right at all." And he's just like brainstorming ideas on how to make it scarier. And he's like, "Oh, I get it. I'll froth a bunch of saliva at the mouth. Perfect. That'll sell it. Thanks, JL John Lasseter." And then goes back to it. It's so funny. It's, you know what it reminded me of immediately when I saw Thumper was feral ghouls.
Yes, that tracks.
Where it's like, you used to be something, and then something happened.
100%. Yeah. So anyway, that all that aside, right? We're in the middle of this last confrontation. The bird is unfortunately set on fire. Flick is about to get absolutely murdered. But like, the thing that happens is that he gives his like heroic speech being like, you might be able to kill me, but you're not going to be able to beat all of us. All of them, all the ants stand up and they're like, actually there are way more of us than there are of you. And the grasshoppers are like, ruh-roh, and they try to escape, but then it starts to rain. Hopper, they're about to like shoot Hopper out of a cannon, which is very good. But Hopper tries to take his revenge by like jumping at Flick, and he's gonna murder Flick. But then he like ends up at this bird's nest. I didn't mention this before, but there was a real live bird before. Anyway, the real bird takes Hopper and feeds it to her children, which is a pretty horrible way to die. So very impressive there. Very good. And that's basically the happy ending, right? Everybody's like, yay, Flick, you saved the town. All of the circus people go on tour and it's great.
They go on tour with a bunch of ants they recruited. Which
I really? I didn't catch that.
So there's a moment where I forget which one of them. It might have been Tuck and Roll that led them, but when they're assaulting the grasshoppers, Tuck and Roll I think lead a bunch of ants in like cartwheeling down the slope at them, and then those same cartwheeling ants go on tour with them.
That's fun.
That's cute. They also, speaking of things that come back, that berry from the opening sequence, there's a berry that drops on an ant and all you see is feet. That berry is in the background of a bunch of fucking shots. It just keeps coming back. They were so proud of that raspberry. They were like, no, it is in the back of the circus now.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Yeah, so that's Antz, or that's A Bug's Life. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
A perfectly fine children's movie. Had a good time. Liked the tie-in game, as far as I remember. Good job, Pixar.
Yep. Good job, Pixar. DreamWorks. Can you come into our office for a second? I'd like to talk to you.
All right. So, Antz with a Z.
So let's set the stage. I'm going to be quoting from an article by Den of Geek. But basically, you can find this on Wikipedia as well. But essentially, like, there is some debate about whether the idea, who had the idea first. But like, it seems like there was going to be some sort of ant-based, movie made at Disney at some point. And then when John Lasseter split from Pixar, Katzenberg, sorry. When Katzenberg split from Disney, it seems like he took this idea with him, and there is some debate, and they've gone back and forth over like whether the idea, is actually stolen or organically come up with. But like, it seems pretty likely that Katzenberg was at least in some way influenced by ideas at Disney. But like, the DreamWorks as they split off, they're about to actually do Prince of Egypt. But they were making Antz at the same time, and when they found out that Disney had slated Bug's Life to come out the same time or a little bit before Prince of Egypt, DreamWorks moves up the production and release of Antz to sabotage Disney. So like, it's this whole deal.
In my opinion, they ended up making Disney look better.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad that Prince of Egypt came out. Shout outs, that movie fucking rips. But yeah,
If
this
Antz was the legacy here, I'm so glad I never watched this movie because I think I'm a pretty big fan of DreamWorks. I think my opinion of DreamWorks would be drastically different if Antz was an impression that I had. So, speaking of literal sex pests,
with a Z.
with a Z, Woody fucking Allen is our protagonist here. Even if I didn't already believe that Woody Allen should be dragged into the streets, this movie and this performance would have put him on that list for me. Because we open up on our protagonist, Z. He is a worker ant. He digs. And when we meet Z, he is on a leaf in his therapist's office talking about how he's so sad that he's not an individual and that it makes him depressed to think that all he's going to do his entire life is work. The entire performance is wordy, and I mean throughout the entire runtime of the movie, there is not a single thing that Z does that is not both prefaced and then concluded by some sort of wry commentary. It is very, very 90s. It is trying to be Seinfeld so bad. And it makes me want to rip my hair out. So 11 minutes into this movie, I decided I hated this movie, and then I had to watch the rest of the movie. So he goes into his therapist's office, and then we go and see him at work. He works with his friend Azteca. Don't know why that's her name. Azteca is played by J-Lo. She's arguably the only reasonable character in this movie.
I like Sylvester Stallone's character, Weaver. He's pretty cool. But yeah, everybody else.
Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, no, they stunt casted the fuck out of this movie for no reason.
Well, they also got Walken. I was like, surely Christopher Walken was not in an animated movie about ants. That's somebody doing a very convincing Christopher Walken impression. No, it's not.
Nope.
That's Mr. Walken himself. So he is, fucking Z is complaining that he doesn't want to do his work, and Azteca's like, you're fucking funny. You have to think of the collective, my guy. It's not about you. And he's like, whatever. So then we go to the bar.
Yeah.
There's a bar for ants.
The ant bar, yeah.
There's one good gag in here.
Yes. It's the dance.
It's the dance.
Because they're all ants and they all have to do a lion dance because they're all collective and they're all collective.
Yeah, exactly. And they have to do it at a very specific time. They all go dance exactly the same way. That was fun. I like that. But of course, naturally, Z is an individual and he prefers to mope at the bar instead. And it sucks so hard. Around this time, we meet Princess Bala. She's fine. We meet her and her queen. Completely nothing characters. Sharon Stone, I'm not sure if she ever voice acted after this. Sharon Stone is a good actress. This was a terrible performance. And you know what? I blame the script, because the script doesn't make any fucking sense. So Sharon Stone obviously is like, mother, what if I want to be an individual, to mirror Z? And then in walks fucking General Mandible, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yep, that's his name. Yeah.
He's a buff old man ant. And the queen is like, hey, General Mandible, what's good? And he's like, I want to go to war against the termites. And she's like, that sounds good. Go ahead.
Sure. Whatever.
Okay. And this again, well, I could count on one hand the amount of jokes that worked on me. Here's the second one. Princess Bala's like, hey, man, we have to get married. Can you and I, have a conversation before we marry each other, just so I can get, a vibe check? And he turns to Cutter, Christopher Walken, and he's like, Cutter, clear my schedule, or not clear my schedule, but find some time for, some one-on-one time with Princess Bala. And Cutter's like, there's some time right now for a personal moment. And I was like, all right. We're a couple seconds ahead. I was like, all right, that's fun. I like that.
Very good. Yeah.
So they have a quick conversation. It's nothing. She literally asks, how is your day? If I had moments to speak to my betrothed, I'd maybe pick something deeper to ask about. Don't know about you. I know you and your wife have been together for ages, high school sweethearts.
Right.
But if you had only moments before you married her, I'm sure it's a better question.
You gotta hit the big stuff first.
Yeah. So, weird. So then Princess Bala, because she's a rebel, goes to the bar, takes off her crown, to go slum it, ends up dancing with Z. And because they're both individuals, they do a funny little dance together that's not like any of the other dancing that the other ants are doing. I don't know. Whatever. Who gives a shit? And then something happens and they find out it's Princess Bala and she has to go and she gets in trouble. And then naturally Z goes to, again, one of the only good characters in this entire movie, fucking Weaver. And he goes to Weaver. He's like, Weaver, I gotta see this girl again. I'm so in love. She's the only other individual. I will die. I'm gonna go impersonate a soldier. Can you cover for me here, since you are a soldier?
Yeah. So they switch places, right? Weaver's like, I want to meet girls, and Z's like, I want to go be in the military review to see Princess Bala, and like they know they're like childhood friends basically. That's how they know each other. Yeah, I mean, I
sure.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Whatever, sure, fine. So Z goes to the military review. What he doesn't know is that he's getting sent off to war in the frontline battalion. It's really stupid. There he meets, what's his name?
Barbados, the best character in the movie.
Barbados, best character in the movie, who Barbados, patience of a saint, because as this quippy little bitch is making all sorts of little to-do next to him, Barbados is like, I like you. You have a sense of humor. You're funny. I'll look out for you. Why? Let him die.
Yeah, no. Who plays Barbados? I'm going to look this up real quick.
Danny Glover.
Danny Glover, yeah. Or Barbados? Yeah, Barbados.
It's Barbados,
okay, yeah.
Depending on your regional American accent, it sounds the same.
Yeah, sure. I was using the country of Barbados. Apologies.
It sounds the same to me.
Yeah, no, I like Barbados a lot. This is the only sequence that I remembered from the movie is this like termite battle. But yeah, like it's pretty good. I think if this movie was like, if this was the halfway point through the movie, like that would actually be kind of good.
We talk about tone a lot in this quippy nothing of a movie. Suddenly devastating battle. Absolutely like death, destruction. It is awful to watch. Like it is so much. You're sitting there like, surely they'll deal with it. They don't talk about it ever again. Hardly.
Yeah. The termites spit acid from their foreheads, and like you see like soldiers getting like their flesh burned. Barbados is fully decapitated, which is wild.
And you wondered if his body
Yeah, when I was a child, when I was watching this with my parents, I was like, hey, where's the rest of his body? And my mom, not wanting to traumatize, 4-year-old me, was like, oh, it's buried. Yeah, you can't see it. And then when Z picks up the head of Barbados, I'm sure I had a completely normal and fine reaction to that.
Yeah, that was a lot. Yeah, so Z is the only one that survives this fucking battle for some reason. God, I wish he had died. He makes his quippy little way back to the colony where he is branded a war hero by General Mandible. It's really boring and stupid.
I also, listen, it is very stupid. I want to talk about how, so Mandible's plan, right? His whole evil plan is to start a new colony by first washing away the old. He wants to dig a tunnel that's going to be under the like lake that's nearby. It's going to kill all the people he thinks are weak, which include most of the worker ants, basically. But the reason that like they get sent off to this like suicide mission is because it's like he sent these legions that are loyal to the queen. So like this seems like a wild strategy to be like, all right, I'm going to send like half of my army to go die for no reason. It doesn't make any sense. Like following the logic of any of this like is and like here at Mortified, we really try to like meet a film where it's coming from, right? Like we learned this, a long, long time ago. You really want to meet the medium where it's coming from and like what its audience is. But like the audience for this movie is Woody Allen at the end of the day.
Yes.
At that point, it's fine to have utter disdain for whatever it's trying to accomplish because it's just fucking nothing.
This movie, it's not for children, certainly.
Nope.
As we are about to discuss, and then it is too bad for adults. So I don't really. It is a show reel for Woody Allen. So bottom of my heart, fuck this movie. Anyways, he comes back. He's a war hero now, and General Mandible's like, cool, whatever. And he goes to meet Princess Bala, and he does. I literally take my fucking ears out of my head. I'm tired of hearing. He does the like brar thing at Princess Bala at one point. Fuck me sideways with a rusty chainsaw. Do I never want to hear that noise again?
It's so weird. Like, their whole relationship arc is so weird and off-putting.
What arc? Aaron, what arc? Aaron, listen, Aaron, what arc? They're horny for each other, then they're like kind of friendly, then he's about to kidnap her. They are fully antagonistic towards each other, and then he says the line, which is, "You were going to be part of my most erotic fantasies." Fuck that line and fuck Woody Allen. And then then they slowly kind of start to come together again, and then they're lovers. Go fuck yourself. That's an inverse sine wave. Ugh. Inverse bell curve sine waves of a pit. I don't give a fuck. It ping-ponged so hard for no reason. And then at one point, Princess Bala was like, "Oh, just when I was starting to like you." Based on what? On what qualities? I hate this movie.
Yeah, it's real dumb. Basically, yeah, he kidnaps her, right? Like, that's what happens.
Straight up. Why? Well, I know why, because they're going to kill him. But, like, what gene in this chatty little motherfucker's body is like, oh, surely a hostage?
It doesn't make any sense. It's a very weird thing that happens. They fall out of a garbage chute, and then at the bar he was told about
Insectopia,
like the laziest motivational tool I've ever heard of. Like okay, that's sure, right? It's like, I don't know.
Right, so now they're outside, and Princess Bala, who was interested in slumming it in the beginning of the movie, so we know her as the People's Princess, is suddenly stuck up, where she's like, take me back to the colony immediately, bitch. Who are you? I've never met you before. Where's the other one? I knew Princess Bala as, like, wanting to go to the bar and dance and hang and be an individual. You're outside now, girl. This should be a celebration for you. And you're like, take me back?
And here's the thing, like, if I was being more generous, I could be like, okay, yeah, this is revealing about her character, because it's like, okay, she thought she wanted one thing, but now that she's removed from her privilege, she's a completely different person. But I'm not gonna give this movie this, because I think it's truly just, the writers were like, well, we have to have them have a rough spot in the relationship, so now she sucks, and he sucks also. So now we're just going to listen to them, hate each other, and then unfortunately neither of them are incinerated by the magnifying glass.
Which, again, violence, right? We watch an ant get absolutely Thanos snapped out of existence by the magnifying glass. You and I we had this conversation yesterday. So Aaron and I have a book club with a couple of our friends. And we read P. Djeli Clark's Ring Shout, which is a very good book. I highly recommend you read it. And we were talking yesterday how P. Djeli Clark has these moments in the novel where, in the hands of a less skilled writer, would be clumsy or wouldn't work. So the entire premise of the book is that, or part of the premise of the book, is that in 1920s Southern United States, the Ku Klux Klan is in itself what it is, right? The Ku Klux Klan. It's a racist, awful, violent organization. But it also draws these creatures into it that transform some of its members into Ku Kluxes versus just Klan members, which are like these horrible, twisted, bony, like monsters, and the protagonists have to hunt these monsters. And in the hands of a less skilled writer, that would be lazy. It would be saying, oh, the Ku Klux Klan was evil because they were possessed by these like transdimensional demons. But because P. Djeli Clark understands the craft, it's like, no, they are evil in and of themselves. It's just that these they caught the attention of these monsters, and that makes them worse and more powerful as a result. And there's, a bunch more stuff. And that is how I feel about this, where, like, yes, in the hands of, like, maybe they didn't have enough time, right? Maybe, I don't know what the fuck happened, but in the hands of a different team or maybe given more resources or whatever, maybe we could have gotten that nuance of like, oh, I thought that this is what I wanted and now I've changed my mind. That is your conflict then with Z, where he's like, whoa, I really liked you because I thought you were an individual and like willing to go through these hardships to get your freedom. But that's not what happens. She just is different now and it sucks. Anyway, so they find what they think is Insectopia, which is a picnic, and then they meet these two wasps that are literal wasps.
Yeah, that's one of the few good jokes in the film, where they're like, "Oh, we have to take care of these poor, filthy ants," and yeah, I mean, one of them is played by Dan Aykroyd, which is very good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're not in the film long. One of them is instantly killed.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Rip. I think her name is like Muffy or something.
Muffy, yes, which is a very good wasp name.
Rip Muffy, you were a real one. You were very funny. You just were trying to do charity. And then they through their adventures find real Insectopia, which is, I think, a trash heap. Unclear. Yep. And they meet a couple bugs there, and they have their like little romantic interlude where everything is cool and chill and fine. Back at the colony. Oh god, this is the stupidest sequence in this whole stupid sequence of a movie. Back at the colony, everyone's like, wait, Z got to pick to be a warrior when he was originally a digger? I want to pick what I want to do. And then this stupid sequence of events happens. I am so fucking furious at this stupid goddamn montage. The ants hear that one of them got to be an individual. So then they're like, I want to be an individual. And then they start quoting like Karl Marx, basically. They start going, there's more of us than there's that. We need to collectively seize the means of production. Literal quote from the movie. They talk about seizing the means of production.
Yes.
So you are telling me that I need to move my Gatorade for this. I'm going to start fucking gesturing. I'm so mad. I hate this fucking movie. The premise of this film is that Woody Allen's condescending, pseudo-intellectual bullshit ass is so right about these ant sheeple that he intellectuals them into finding themselves individuals, and then they realize there's more of them collectively than there are of their overlords, so then they come back together to do the same thing they were doing before, but for Z instead of for Mandible? What are we talking about?
Leyla, do you know about Francis Fukuyama's The End of History?
No.
So in the 90s, this economist, Francis Fukuyama, predicted that, like, because, we have reached, like, peak liberalism as far as, like, an economic system, right? Like, largely democracies that are, working with each other and trading, right? And the fact that, like, wars are now... He wrote that wars were so expensive and like, so interlinked that, like... there shouldn't really be any war anymore because there's no point in doing it because war would like hurt the people waging it as much as it would the people they're waging it on, right?
Well, it also famously never changes.
Right. Also, that's so true. And like obviously. That's he titled his essay that eventually became a book, The End of History, because he's talking about how, like, this is the end of, like, what human society is going to look like. Mm-hmm. is like we are always going to keep this system of politics in place, because, like, this is the final form of what human civilization should look like. And I thought about that because I feel like this movie is like the epitome of end of history politics, where it's like, yeah, we don't have any real problems anymore, so we're just going to invent them and think that we're really smart about them. Woody Allen's character's whole thing sucks so bad, and it's just constantly like him jerking on himself off.
And so we have this montage, and everybody wants fucking Z, and then General Mandible is like, no, if you keep working for me, then you'll do less work, because all this movie fucking does is tell you things. There's not a single thing shown. You are told everything. And the ants are like, oh, less work? yippee, sign me up. I'm gonna go dig a tunnel. And then he makes Weaver and Azteca come with him, and he beats the shit out of them and interrogates them, which is pointless because Weaver and Azteca do not know where Z went.
Mm-hmm.
So Weaver is like, wait, maybe Insectopia. That's a thing he heard about at the bar once. Try there. And then General Mandible, Cutter, Christopher Walken, best character. Well, second, he's up there. There's not a lot. The bar is low. Everyone but Z is good.
Yeah.
So, Mandible looks at Cutter, Christopher Walken, and is like, hey, I need you to handle this. Can you handle this? And he's like, I guess. And so he goes, and Cutter does his fun intimidation thing. So General Mandible knows that Insectopia is real, and he knows where it is. So he sends Cutter there, and he's like, Cutter... I liked this gag where Cutter walks around and is like, I'm looking for an ant princess about yay high, easy enough on the eyes. Y'all seen her? And the bugs just all immediately point. They're like, straight there.
Yeah, they're just like, sure. Yeah, whatever. We don't care.
Don't fuck us up, please. So he takes her back while Z is getting wood. And the plan proceeds, and then Z has to go back. And the way he re-infiltrates the ant colony is literally he gets caught, and then they just think he's a regular worker ant. They're like, you should be digging the tunnel, and he's like, got it. So he and the princess reunite. I forget how or why. I don't care. I hate them both.
He like climbs into the place where they're keeping her. It's nothing.
Sure, it's nothing. They figure out that fucking Mandible's gonna flood the whole thing. They go, and fucking what's her face? Bala warns the queen. Z goes to stop the workers, but it's too late. And so they have to all go to this little, like, hill inside the anthill where the water, after they've been sealed in, the water is rising, but they have a minute, and Z gets the idea that they should make an ant ladder. And so they start making an ant ladder, and again, Weaver, best character in the movie. Weaver, when there's just not enough ants, and Z and Azteca have to go, or Z and Bala have to go and, like, be the ones to get them to actually through the top of the thing. He single-handedly holds up the entire base of all the ants. And I'm like, that's my boy. That's how you do it. So they break through. And then Cutter, in that moment, Christopher Walken decides... there's been like a little hint that he's sympathetic to the masses. Is like, no, this is the future of the colony. I'm going to help them out. Fuck you, Mandible. There's some sort of confrontation. I stopped watching at this point. I couldn't care. I couldn't possibly care. And then they resolve. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters because then Woody Allen's stupid exit monologue is like, and now I'm back exactly where I started, but it's fine now because I chose it this time. Genuinely, bottom of my heart, go fuck yourself.
It's just... I feel like the listener probably doesn't understand why we have this feeling, but like, go listen to 2 minutes of any of Z's dialogue in this film. He's truly the most insufferable character, and like, it is hard to like dislike a character as much as I dislike Z. He sucks so bad, and like,
he's condescending. He thinks he's better than everyone, and it's like, there are some direct parallels between Antz and A Bug's Life, and I think one of the best ones that you can examine to look at this is if you go listen to Flick's speech, and then you go listen to Z's speech. Flick's speech is literally, I have seen these ants do incredible things. They've built all this shit. They care for each other and they band together, and I know there's more of us than there are of you. And that is what inspires the ants to come together and realize what their power is. Z's speech sucks because the entire time he has been shitting on these ants, and his speech is like, you guys could do better. Don't you see, sheeple? Wake up. Fuck you. How, if I could be in line to get my own head chopped off in the fucking end times, and if a motherfucker condescended me that bad, I'd double down. I'd be like, no, I'm going to get it chopped off twice now. I want to grow another head just to go to the guillotine again. Fuck you. Don't talk to me like that. I cannot believe there is a protagonist that unlikable.
Yeah, and it's one thing if you're trying to make your protagonist unlikable, and I think the Seinfeld read is 100% right. Like, I think this is absolutely trying to do Jerry Seinfeld, but like, the thing about Seinfeld is that, like, I think we're also kind of supposed to be laughing at him for being like a weird neurotic mess, right? That is not the case for Z. Like, I don't understand why this movie, like, once puts this kind of character as its protagonist. Like, if it is supposed to be a kid's movie, if it is supposed to be something where, like, you have a very simple, message you're trying to get your audience to, like, buy into. When like, it's just all over the place tonally, narratively, right? Like the arcs are all, like, weird and bent out of shape. And like, at the end of the day, right, it's the collective action of the ants that save the colony. But and Z's, like, final monologue where he's like, I chose this, right? It rings so hollow when, like, at no point does he seem, like, happy that he wanted to be back in Buglandia or whatever. I don't give a fuck what it's called.
Objectively a better name.
Yeah, no, way better. Like, he didn't want to go back. He didn't choose this. He went back because his girlfriend got captured. Like, I don't know. Like, it's also, I don't know, right? It just goes to show you that, like, at the end of the day, like, there is no 100% perfect way to tell a story. If you are somebody who is in the, business of telling stories, right? Like, professional people get this shit wrong all the time. So if you can learn anything from this, if you, for whatever reason, listen to us rant about this dog water movie,
and statistically speaking, at least 25 of you will.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for that. I hope people who can, like, hear us, like, shit on this movie and go, I can tell a story better than that, because I guarantee you can, because you're not fucking Woody Allen.
Yeah, dude, Woody Allen can absolutely ride. A Bug's Life has a very simple message. It is, you are stronger together, and you should be celebrated for your differences while still being able to contribute to the community. That's it. That is what it is. Flick is an individual, but the things he's doing are trying to help the community. He's always just trying to help, and once the community starts to support him, oh my God, his inventions are being used. Everyone's happy. Oh God, crazy how that works. Meanwhile, Antz is trying to tell you everyone around you is dumb and you should talk down to them all the time, actually. And maybe then in an emergency, they'll see you were right the whole time and they'll wake up. Go fuck yourself. It is so condescending. Like, it made me, and I think especially now that we're, like, examining in the post-COVID era, like, we're examining community, we're examining what it means to, like work collectively towards a goal. We're seeing an uptick in union activity. We're seeing an uptick in all sorts of things. It just sucks to watch this and go, oh, it's like, what is that movie? I've never seen this movie, but I've seen enough coverage on it. Idiocracy.
Yeah.
It is the same condescending bullshit piece of shit take. And I don't know. I think as somebody who has made a career out of, like, really forefronting empathy and forefronting meeting people where they need to be, mentorship and education and stuff like that, where, like, I have really spent a lot of time learning how to communicate with others and bring them in and build them up rather than exclude them and tear them down. This movie is especially frustrating, and I wish it would rot, and I never want to see it again. And I'm so glad that DreamWorks got better, because if I had seen this movie, I would never watch another DreamWorks film again. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's it. I don't think we need to go on about it anymore. No. I'm glad that we did this experiment. But
are we?
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not. I wish we hadn't watched this movie. I wish we had those hours of our life back. But I think this is. I think if we really, if this has taught me anything, it's that I don't actually like shitting on movies. I like trying to find the best in movies. Like, I don't like watching a piece of media that's bad and going, this is bad. I like watching a piece of media that is good or okay and being like, why is this, okay or good? It's not interesting to be like, oh, there's one glaringly obvious flaw here, and it's the protagonist. So yeah.
That's the angle we always try to go in with, right? For the past, like, just several years that we've been, we've been doing this for like 5.
Yes.
For the past several years that we've been doing this, like, that is what we try to do. And even with this, right? We thought, it would be interesting to see how things have changed and how the medium has kind of come along. And we are no strangers to putting things in their context or critiquing them as a factor of their time, or as a product of their time. But it is so rare that we stumble onto something that is actually genuinely infuriating and doesn't deserve as deep of an analysis as we would normally give something. And I think you're right. Like, it feels bad. I feel bad to have watched this. I feel bad that I'm this upset. I feel bad that this is how we spent our time together today, and it's like, I can't wait to watch like Shrek 2 or read. We have a lot of really great content planned. I can't wait to get back to the things that are actually trying something and are interesting, because it feels like shit. And I think, if anything, this served as a good reminder as to why we don't engage in this kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's it. Leyla, when we are not trying our absolute darndest to hire a contract out on Willie Allen, where can we be found on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSES on Blue Sky and Tumblr. Getting started at my new gig. I'll have been at work a week by this time this goes up. I don't know. I'm going to try to work on my webcomic. I'm again going to try and work on my Xenosaga essay this year. I'm also thinking about maybe. I know I said I would only ever make one video essay, but I'm also like, what if I did a deep dive on the cinematography of Andor, now that I've been thinking about it? So I don't know. We'll see what I'm up to.
That's how it starts.
I know. And then I turn into you. So yeah, I don't know. I'm at a crossroads right now in terms of my life and my availability and the things I want to be doing. So I don't know. Join me. We'll see what I make. What about you?
You could find me on the internet at Blue Sky at Aaron A. Voigt, at Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, Twitter at AaronSXL. My main site is aavoigt.com, where I write about tabletop RPGs and writing. I also have a YouTube channel that's aavoigt at youtube.com, where I talk about tabletop RPGs in like a video essay format. Hopefully by the time this goes out, I'm not going to have that video out by next week. At some point this month, I hope to have a video out about cities and city builders in tabletop RPGs. So hopefully that's out by the end of May. But I think that'll be a good essay. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshco from the album Filmmaker's Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshco.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how do you want to close out this here great episode?
Well, Aaron, this is our lot in life. It's not a lot, but it's a life.
So true, bestie. We'll see you all next time.